Hi, Steve Lowery with The Drill. We're here with the great Joe Torre. Joe, tell us about Safe at Home.
Well, Steve, safe at home. I grew up in an abusive household. My dad abused my mom. He never physically abused me. He created a lot of fear in the house, and I was a nervous kid. And I never really associated, the terror that he brought into the home with my feelings of insecurity, low self-esteem, nervousness. Until I went through I went to a seminar in 1995 with my wife. She was 8 months pregnant at the time. She said, "You want to go to the symposium with me?" I said, "Sure." I was going to say yes to anything she asked me at that time, 8 months pregnant. And I found out it was basically a self-help symposium. So there was a speaker one day. It was about the second or third day into this 4-day symposium, and he struck a nerve with me. Because I never talked a whole lot about it with Allie, my wife, but I get up in front of perfect strangers and start crying my eyes out.
Right.
And so I felt at that point in time it freed me up to talk about it, because now I wasn't born with these feelings. They were created by what was going on in my home.
Right.
And so we started Safe at Home, and it was really Allie's idea to do it through education. So what we do is we put a master's level counselor in a safe room in the school. We named the safe room after my mom, Margaret's Place.
That's nice.
And it works. What can I tell you? We let these kids know it's not their fault, and they're not the only ones. Because I know if I had something like that, I needed somebody to talk to, because I never shared it with anybody.
Right.
Any of my friends, my buddies, my dad's house, car was in front of the house. I'd go to their house until he left for work. And so
I've talked with people who, as you mentioned, sometimes it takes a while before they even know they're being abused, because this is normal to them, right?
And there's so many different layers of abuse. It could be controlling a checkbook. And in my case, it was fear. Even though he yelled a lot and scared me. He never physically, injured me in any way. I saw the results of what he did to my mom, and I heard when he didn't like whatever she put on the table, throw it against the wall. And I was in the room as an 8 or 9-year-old when he went for his revolver, because he was a New York City police detective.
Right.
So, but you're right. I mean, there are so many different layers of abuse. And it was frightening. And of course, my mom and dad have since passed, and I never did have a chance to confront them or talk about it with them.
Right. Well, it's great that you start something like this, because we see so many things begin at this level, where later we see the damage of someone who does something, and you find out later that they were abused.
Unfortunately, when you see a lot of these young people, go into schools with guns and stuff, there's a connection there somewhere for the most part. And that's why we're trying to, make an impression on these kids. Let these kids know that we care about them and what they do and their future. And that they'll come out the other end in good shape. And, we've had, between here and in New York, we've had better than 75,000 kids come through our program. And we know it works, and we're very proud of the work we do.
Can I ask you a baseball question?
Sure. I don't know if I can answer that one, but I'll give it a shot.
You managed a team that really was at the height, I think, of baseball popularity. The Yankees were glamorous, popular. Now we keep hearing about all these things baseball is doing to try to make baseball more palatable to what is known as the millennials.
Right.
Brandon Belt just had this 21 bat, and everyone went crazy as if he did it on purpose. Do you think baseball needs to think in that way? What can we do to change? Or do you think this is just cyclical, that people will find the beauty in baseball?
Well, I'd like to think it's cyclical, but we can't sit back and assume it's going to be that way. I think we've got to, you say the millennials who, they want to be entertained.
Right.
And we need to be more personal with our sport. We need to let them know players a little bit more intimate than maybe in the past, when they see you at a distance and they know your number and stuff like that. And Tony Petitti, who's our deputy commissioner and
Yeah.
is with CBS and all the networks,
Right.
you know, he's certainly working toward that goal. But
Yeah.
it's a little different from me being an old codger and not wanting to make any changes. But
Yeah.
you have to understand that,
Right.
you know, I know when David Wells was going to be here tonight, wanted to listen to rock music, you know, hard rock when he was pitching. I realized that if it's going to help him, I got to let it go.
Right, exactly.
So you sort of have to be understanding of what is interesting people,
Right.
and try to accommodate them without disrupting our game.
Right, yeah. Thank you very much. I
Okay.
really appreciate it, Joe.
Sure.
Thank you.